This is Talk of the Town, a weekly program featuring community events happening in and around Northeast Michigan, with your host, Nancy Smitham, and get the latest from Alpena Community College with Dr. Don Mcmaster. And now, today's Talk of the Town.
Good morning and welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm Nancy Smitham. My first guest today is Janine Kultz from Hope Shores Alliance. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me, Nancy.
Thanks for being here and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
And you know, Hope Shores Alliance, like all of our nonprofit groups and organizations in our community, just because of COVID, sexual assault didn't stop, you know, domestic violence didn't stop, stalking didn't stop, date rape, all those wonderful things that happen in every community didn't stop. So you folks have been very busy during all of this time.
Yeah, 2020 was a time for us to really evaluate how many barriers there are for survivors. I'm sure you know plenty of people who don't live in town, who only have one spot in their whole house that their phone works. Now imagine those people with the abuser in their home and they have no excuse to leave. The abuser has nowhere to go either. How terrifying that must have been for so many survivors. So we had to figure out, how can people get to us? So 2020 was us volunteering at food banks, getting our stickers out there. We were revamping our website, trying to find all of the ways that folks can come to us, because you're right, the violence escalated, but there was a brief amount of times where the phone stopped ringing, and it was so scary. But I work at an amazing organization that is beyond proactive, and our numbers, I'm sure, we don't have our end of fiscal year ready yet, but I'm sure they're going to be higher than they were for 2020, the same way 2020 was higher than 2019. You
know, isolation is so hard in any event, but let alone if you're in a bad situation.
Absolutely. And January, on top of everybody celebrating a new year, it is Stalking Awareness Month. So on top of what you're talking about, we also have folks who are faced with disbelief, not because they're not a believable person, but because when people talk about stalking, our brains go, well, that can't be real. That happens on TV. It must be a misunderstanding.
And it takes on many different forms.
Absolutely. We live in a time of technology, and we are a culture who loves our technology. We want it free and we want it fast. So what ends up happening is we come up with all of these amazing new apps that are designed maybe to keep our children safer, so that when you buy a phone, it has a tracking app right on there for them. And that's amazing if a child goes missing. But for stalkers, for abusers, it really does take a lot of the legwork out of stalking. Now, I'm not saying technology is bad. It's we all need it. In fact, that same technology can be used to help. So for any survivors out there, making sure you're documenting, taking pictures, videos, having that phone ready to go, trying to use that thing that does make us vulnerable. I don't know about you, but I know a lot of people who have apps on their phone because their cameras are in their phone, the outside of their house. We all have phones in our pockets. It truly does make us vulnerable. Anybody who's slightly tech savvy has a lot going for them, unfortunately.
It does, and stalking can be someone showing up at your door unannounced, calling you, showing up at your workplace, sending you unwanted mail, sending you unwanted messages. So at what point do we become worried and contact law enforcement?
Yeah, so the law itself defines stalking as a willful course of conduct involving a repeated and continuing harassment of another individual that would cause a reasonable person to feel terrorized, frightened, intimidated, threatened, harassed, or molested. And then that actually would cause a person to feel.
And that's pretty broad, so that covers a lot.
Yeah, so it doesn't put the onus on the survivor to be ripping their hair out terrified. It allows for that trauma response that all of our brains are going to have. We have to get through this.
Yes.
So our brains are going to deal with it. If you cannot figure out what's going on, I beg people, please call Hope Shores Alliance. We're going to provide you free, confidential services. A lot of times people get advice, and that advice is dangerous, like get rid of your phone.
Buy a gun.
Yeah, but if the survivor if the abuser no longer has contact, things can and will escalate. So if an abuser can't contact me on the phone, if they can't talk to me via Facebook, then it's going to have to be in person. So please talk to Hope Shores Alliance. We have toolkits for documentation, lots of different things to think about. But really the major difference is that fear component. If you're afraid, please reach out to us.
Please do not wait. If you feel those little things on the back of your neck, it's time to call someone.
Absolutely. And if you know somebody who's talking about these things, your brain is going to tell you this can't be real because you care about that person and you don't want them to be harmed. However, the last thing you want to tell a stalking victim is maybe it's not really that. Trust me, they're already thinking the same thing.
Yes.
Just believe, support, validate, and please direct people to Hope Shores Alliance.
And your store is open in Oscoda?
Yes, we're having our grand opening and ribbon cutting January 29th from 12 to 3. There's going to be a lot of different sales, beverages, raffle. We ask people to go. Some of you have probably already shopped there. We did open last month. It's amazing.
I saw the pictures. Wow.
Yeah.
And of course, you see something on a picture today. It may not be there tomorrow.
Oh, it might not be there in a couple hours.
Yes.
And also, it's so important that people do support our thrift stores because our thrift stores are for survivors.
Yes.
A survivor, anybody working with Hope Shores Alliance can go to our thrift store. It's all there for them. And then all of the revenue we build in, that becomes funds that we can use for survivors that our funders say you can't do that. So if a funder says you can't buy those locks or you can't buy those security cameras, we can use these general funds to do that. So it's so important for survivors.
Okay, so what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you if they have any questions or to ask questions about, in particular, stalking?
Yeah, you're always going to want to call our 800 number, so that's 1-800-396-9129. Our website, if you've gone to it, it's hopeshores.org. It is under construction. It's not going to look under construction. It looks beautiful right now, but we are. It's a soft roll right now, so please check it out. We do have resources. A couple of the facts aren't 100%.
Okay, and you are doing some hiring, so where do they look to see about those jobs?
You can check us up on Indeed. We are hiring for residential advocacy, a sexual assault response team organizer, and a community liaison advocate. Just go right to Indeed and check us out.
Okay, 800 number, one more time.
1-800-396-9129.
Thank you so much for being here, and tell everyone back at Hope Shores Alliance, thank you for all they do, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Nancy.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'll be right back following these messages. My last guest today is Katie Wolf from Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary. Hi, Katie.
Hi. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Yes.
And what a happy New Year it's going to be. You've got Thunder Bay Film Festival coming along, and I know I always talk about, well, the first year that Stephanie came here and talked about, I thought, okay, Stephanie, and it has turned out to be one of the most wonderful things that you do.
It is. And this is our 10th anniversary, which is really exciting.
Yes.
You know, anytime you can keep something, going strong for 10 years, especially with the challenges that we've had with COVID, it's pretty extraordinary.
And I was talking to a guest last week about if anything good came out of COVID, all the people who think outside the box, and you folks have to be one of the most innovative thinkers to make this a virtual experience. What a great idea. People who wouldn't have come before are coming. You have people from all over the world.
And it really brings international focus on Alpena.
It does.
So that's pretty exciting. And we do have people, and it's interesting, while I'm talking with you today, there's another event going on virtually right now as kind of a sneak peek. So there's all kinds of activities going on. And we have a whole slew of Great Lakes films again this year.
Good.
We think we have probably more than 100 films in the program this year, so that's pretty extraordinary.
Wow.
And so there's a few I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about. I think you'll love this one. So have you ever heard of Monty and Rose in Chicago?
Yes.
So they're two little piping plovers. And we almost lost all the piping plovers. We got down to like 13 nesting pairs, in existence. And so now they've come back. There's around 75 pairs. But there's a couple named Monty and Rose who are pretty famous in Chicago. And they were the first to nest and successfully nest in the city of Chicago since 1948. Wow. And so one of our films is about this sweet little pair of piping plovers. That should be a lot of fun. I think everybody will enjoy that.
Oh, sounds wonderful. Next one?
So another one that has a real local connection is about the Tuskegee Airmen. Just this week we lost one of the Tuskegee Airmen. He's 102 years old. Brigadier General McGee.
And I know Stephanie from your staff has had the chance to do the dive and do all the exploration. That's so exciting.
Well, one of our student filmmakers has now moved up to the professional level, and he has a film about the Tuskegee Airmen and it will feature, it actually has a part in there that has the Brigadier General that just passed this week. So it's pretty timely, and it's a very special film. So we're excited about that. We also have one about copper country in the Keweenaw. There's a lot of Great Lakes. You know, we've partnered with Great Lakes now, and so there's all kinds of, you know, Thunder Bay specific films, but also Great Lakes topic films involved. And so you can get your, you know, your Great Lakes take, even though it's a little too cold to go in the water right now. And then there's some amazing international films. You know, there's a lot of people who follow the Aurora Borealis here. There's a beautiful film called Aurora. And then there's also, quite a few on octopus, which I personally find very interesting because they're so intelligent.
Yes, they are.
So we're really excited about it. And so this year, again, it's virtual. So from your home, you can go online, buy a ticket at thunderbayfriends.org, and you can buy those tickets as, you know, just a set program on a particular theme, or you can get the Thunder Pass for $100, which gives you access to all the films for 12 days. You can, you know, watch them all day long for 12 days if you'd like. It'd probably take about that long to watch them all.
Probably. And it's from January 26th until February 6th.
That's correct. So we're ramping up right now. We're doing a lot of preview type things, and so we hope everybody pops their popcorn and cozies up by the fire and, you know, joins us for the film festival.
And this is such an important event, and so much time and energy has gone into it that we want to encourage everyone. You'll be sorry if you miss this.
Well, it really does make you feel very proud and close to the beautiful place that we live. You know, there's so many important issues, but also just the absolute beauty, and then the thrill, the challenges, the athletes that get out there and take on these waves. There's one that's called, I think it's let's see, it's about chicks on board, and they're you know, women who surf, and which is another just amazing, you know, athletic feat to be a good surfer.
Okay, and how much are the Thunder Passes?
They're $100, and then they have tickets that start at $10.
Okay.
So we've had people calling about gift certificates, and so you know, you can do that too. Or if you want to watch films with your kids who are across the country and then talk about them at the same time, you can do that virtually. And I want to mention one thing. We've got our commemorative poster.
Yes.
And it is our 10th anniversary.
Okay.
And so this particular photo was taken by one of our local photographers, Eugene Cambry, and it's of the 1870 New Presqu'île light. And he caught it with that Milky Way.
Isn't that amazing?
And if you look closely, there's actually a meteor too. So it's
look
pretty
at that.
spectacular.
Gives me goosebumps.
Yeah. So look for this poster, and if you're interested in a copy, you could probably send an email to thunderbayfriends.org, and we could make a copy available to you.
Okay, and I know that you're still close to the public, but there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, I'm sure.
There are, and we're really excited about some of the things that are going to be happening on our campus. I think we've talked about the sports courts, which are going in. We received all the money from the Alpena Youth and Rec Millage, and so it's been excavated, materials have been delivered, and we're just waiting for the weather.
Yay.
And then another exciting part about that is a new pavilion that's going to be going up to where you board the Lady Michigan.
Okay. But
that also will serve as a boarding area, or, you know, to disembark for people who take the cruises, the large cruises into the Great Lakes area. And there's Viking has scheduled several cruises for this year, and those will be coming in. And now we will have a really professional, beautiful place to greet those new visitors to our community.
How exciting.
So lots going on. I think I mentioned our roof deck is looking stunning. Can't wait to have events up there this summer.
That'll be fun. Can't wait till everything's open and we can enjoy all of those wonderful things. You can still walk by the river. It's a little cold and snowy, but you can still walk by and see the progress and what's happening out there.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful all year round.
It is. Well, thank you so much, Katie. Please tell everyone we said Happy New Year and thanks for all that you do.
Thank you, Nancy.
Please stay tuned for Dr. Don Mcmaster following these messages.
Everyone, welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm Dr. Don Mcmaster, president of Alpena Community College. and I would like to report out on some of the things we talked about at our Alpena Community College January board meeting last night. One of the first things we talked about was something called an Integrated Post-Secondary Data System Report. In the acronym world of colleges, it's known as IPEDS. It is a report that every university, public and private, and community college fills out, and they all answer the same questions. So it is a data source that allows you to measure how you do versus other schools, and how you do versus how you did longitudinally in years past. It's a valuable report, and we eye it pretty closely. And for 2021, these were some of the metrics that we covered. Before I jump to that, I should tell you, the report also allows you to compare your data versus other schools. And for us, there's something called the Group 1 community colleges. These would be 10 colleges similar to Alpena. They're rural and small. In that group, you'd have Bay College up in Escanaba, Kirtland, Montcalm, West Shore, and Ludington. These smaller rural schools comparable to ACC. So here's what the data showed. Tuition and required fees are less than 1% higher than the average charged at the other 9 institutions. So we're right in the middle of what people charge to go to school at those places. How that becomes important will be a couple of bullet points down. Will be the next bullet point. Local appropriations. This would be millage. At ACC is 14% of core revenues. In other words, 14% of the money that comes in to run the college comes from the millage that Alpena County residents pay. That's compared to 34% at the other 9 institutions. So in other words, those institutions in aggregate have more than twice as much of their revenue that comes from millage. They have a bigger tax capture. How that comes into play is there's essentially 3 legs of funding. There's millage, there's tuition and fees, and there's state appropriations. So for us, we capture much less in terms of millage than the other schools do. But our tuition is the same as theirs, essentially. Net price of attendance, which is the cost to attend minus a variety of expenses and revenue sources such as, for the student, such as Pell Grants, foundation scholarships. So net attendance for our students is 53% less than the cohort institutions. This is a significant metric. 91% of full-time, first-time degree certificate students receive some form of grant aid, that is some scholarship, either from the federal government through Pell, through the foundation, sometimes both. And that's compared to 80% at cohort institutions. So more of our students are able to access financial help to go to school. This is probably our best metric coming up, one of the best ones anyway. Graduation rate of first-time, full-time, degree-seeking students within 150% of normal time. It sounds almost like gibberish, but it's an important parameter. 150% of normal time would be for an associate degree student that generally completes in 4 semesters. Do they complete in 6? A certificate program, this is just for associate degree students. So at ACC, 38% of those folks graduate within 150% or within 6 semesters with an associate's degree. The cohort institutions, that number is 29%. So these may seem low if you're somewhat familiar with, say, University of Michigan's graduation rate, which is probably 90%. But there are many factors that go into why community college students don't complete the way, a University of Michigan student might. The difference between 38% completing and 29% completing is substantial. And if you look at many of the larger schools downstate, they will, in some cases, be in single digits here. So ACC does a very good job of helping students graduate. Retention rates, that's people who keep going and don't drop out. Our rate is 63%, and the cohort institutions, the other small schools, is 58%. 51% of Pell Grant recipients at ACC received either a certificate or associate degree 4 years after enrollment, compared to 40% at cohort institutions. We do spend more on instruction. We have more full-time instructors in cohort institutions. Generally speaking, they're paid higher. A lot of that has to do with we're blessed with a group of wonderful instructors that they are high seniority. And so, as they move up the pay scale to the top, that's 11 steps. Many of them are at the top of the pay scale. And both instruction and management have a higher percentage of full-time equivalent staff than cohort institutions. So the downside to that, and if you were to look at it from, I guess, my position, is it costs more in terms of personnel to run ACC. But the upside is, I think all of these bullet points above that will tell you that it provides value to students, and that they come, they get a quality education, they complete, and they move on either into employment or to a transfer university. So it's a good report, and I think it does reflect accurately many of the strengths of ACC and what students can expect and their parents when they come here. So just wanted to share that with you. Semester started this week, and students are here. It's great having them on campus. We're still doing face-to-face. We're asking people to wear masks, and they are doing that, which I appreciate. We want to stay face-to-face through this semester, and mask wearing helps us in that regard. So take care of yourself, be healthy, and we'll look forward to seeing you around ACC someday.
This has been Talk of the Town with your host, Nancy Smitham and Dr. Don Mcmaster. For a list of community events taking place in Northeast Michigan, please visit our website at wbkb11.com and click on our community link. This has been a Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation production.